My name is Sombat. I'm 80 years old, and I want to give you the words right now at the very beginning because you deserve honesty before anything else. The words I am going to give you before sleep are not a chant. They are not an affirmation designed to send a signal to the universe while you are unconscious. They are not a sequence that, repeated in the right order with the right intention, causes money to accumulate in your life through some mechanism that operates independently of what you actually do when you are awake. Any promise in that direction is not honest, and after 80 years of observing what actually produces financial prosperity in real human lives, I can tell you with complete certainty that prosperity does not arrive as an answer to bedtime words. It arrives as the consequence of what you do and who you are becoming in the waking hours of your actual life. But stay with me, because the words before sleep that I am going to give you are real. They are genuinely powerful, not because they work while you sleep, but because they work on you while you say them. They work by creating a specific quality of honesty about your day, about your choices, about your relationship with value and with your own worth, that gradually and genuinely changes the person who wakes up the next morning and makes the next day's financial decisions. And the person who makes those decisions is always the primary variable in what those decisions produce. I was born in northern Thailand into genuine material scarcity. I understand the appeal of something that promises prosperity through simple practice before sleep. I understand that when the gap between where you are financially and where you need to be feels very large, the idea of words that work while you sleep is genuinely comforting. And I am not here to take that comfort away without replacing it with something more substantial. I am here to give you something that actually works. The words are these, and say them slowly with genuine presence, not as a performance, but as a genuine audit of your day. Did I today create genuine value for someone? Did I today claim what that value was actually worth? Did I today look honestly at my financial situation without the buffer of vagueness? Did I today take one step, however small, toward the financial life I actually want? And what is the one thing I avoided today that I know I need to stop avoiding? These are not comfortable words before sleep. They are honest ones. And honest words before sleep do something that comfortable ones cannot. They create a specific quality of accountability, a clear relationship between what you did today and what you are hoping tomorrow will bring. And that relationship, held consistently in your awareness as you end each day, gradually changes the quality of what you do in each day. Let me explain why this matters in ways that go much deeper than the bedtime practice itself. The first reason these words produce financial prosperity is that they direct your attention every single evening toward the actual levers of financial change in your life. Most people who are not experiencing the financial prosperity they want are, without fully recognizing it, directing their attention primarily toward external things that might change their situation: the right opportunity, the right timing, the right idea, the right person to discover them. And while attention is on those external things, the internal things that actually determine financial outcomes are going largely unexamined. The quality of value you create, whether you are claiming what that value is worth, whether you are seeing your financial situation clearly, whether you are taking the actions that your desired outcome actually requires. The questions before sleep redirect attention to those internal things, and where attention goes consistently, behavior eventually follows. And where behavior goes, outcomes follow. Not magically, causally, in the direct and unglamorous way that real financial change actually works. The second reason these words work is that the question about value created and value claimed is addressing the single most reliable source of under-earning that I have observed across 80 years of watching how money moves through people's lives. Most people who are not earning what they want to be earning are not primarily being withheld from by a hostile marketplace. They are primarily withholding from themselves, undercharging for their work, not negotiating when negotiation is available, accepting the first offer as if it were the only offer, setting prices that reflect their anxiety about not being good enough, rather than the actual market value of what they create. And here's what I didn't understand then. This pattern of self-withholding is almost never a conscious choice. It is a habit rooted in old beliefs about what someone like you can expect to receive, about what is appropriate to ask for, about whether your work genuinely merits the price that would actually represent its value. Those beliefs operate below the level of awareness. They feel like realistic assessments of the market. They are almost always inherited stories about worth that have been mistaken for accurate economic information. The question before sleep, did I today claim what my value was actually worth, creates a daily audit of that pattern. It asks you to look directly at whether you did or whether you did not. And in that looking, the pattern becomes visible in a way that invisible patterns cannot become visible any other way. And what is visible can eventually be changed. The third reason is the question about financial clarity. The majority of people who are not experiencing the financial prosperity they want have not looked clearly and honestly at their actual financial situation. They have impressions, they have feelings, they have a general sense that things are not working the way they should. But they have avoided the specific, honest, sometimes uncomfortable work of seeing exactly what comes in, exactly what goes out, and exactly what the difference produces over time. That avoidance feels protective. It feels like keeping options open. It feels like not having to face something potentially worse than the impression. But what it actually produces is a specific kind of diffuse anxiety that accompanies every financial decision without providing any genuine guidance. You cannot make good financial choices from a place of intentional ignorance about your actual financial position. The clarity that comes from honest looking, however uncomfortable to develop, is infinitely more useful than the vague hope that characterizes the avoidance. The question about honesty before sleep is an invitation to look clearly every day, to not let the financial vagueness accumulate, to keep the picture current and accurate. And that daily invitation, honored consistently, keeps your financial awareness alive in a way that supports genuine decision-making rather than hope-based inaction. You know what surprised me most? When I finally committed to the kind of honest financial self-examination these questions create, the reality I found was consistently more manageable than the anxiety I had been carrying. Not always better in terms of the actual numbers, but always more workable, always something I could actually respond to in specific and practical ways. The fear that had been living in the avoidance was always larger than the actual situation, and the clarity that replaced the avoidance freed enormous energy that then became available for actual improvement. The fourth reason these words produce prosperity over time is the question about the one thing you avoided. Because financial stagnation almost always has a specific and nameable cause that is being consistently not addressed. Not a mystical blockage, not an alignment problem, a specific thing that you know you need to do, or stop doing, or start doing, that you keep finding reasons to not do today. The conversation with a client about pricing, the look at the bank statements you have been avoiding for 3 months, the decision about the work arrangement that is not compensating you fairly, the question you need to ask your employer, the action you need to take toward the work that would actually pay you what your skills merit. That specific thing, named honestly every evening in the question about what you avoided, does not stay avoided as easily as it does when it remains unnamed, because naming it makes it real in a way that avoidance keeps it comfortably unreal. And something that is real and named and consciously recognized as something you are avoiding is something you will eventually stop avoiding, because the recognition of the avoidance itself becomes uncomfortable enough to motivate action. What most people don't realize is that financial prosperity does not accumulate as an answer to words said before sleep. It accumulates as the consequence of thousands of small decisions made with increasing honesty and increasing clarity and increasing willingness to claim what has actually been earned. Those decisions happen in the waking hours, in the negotiations, in the pricing conversations, in the honest looks at the numbers, in the actions taken on the things that have been avoided. The words before sleep prepare the person who makes those decisions. They create the daily audit that keeps the person honest about how the decisions are going. They maintain the awareness of what is working and what is not working, and what is being avoided that needs to stop being avoided. That is what they do, and that is why they work. Not while you sleep, in the way they change who you are and what you do when you are awake. The fifth element of these words before sleep is gratitude, but not the performed gratitude of listing pleasant things before sleeping. The specific gratitude of recognizing what genuine value you did create today, what you did offer, what you did do that reflected your real competence and your real contribution. Not to feel good about yourself in a shallow way. To maintain an accurate picture of what you actually have to offer. Because the person who has a clear and accurate picture of what they genuinely offer is better positioned to claim what that offering is worth than the person who has only a vague and anxious sense of their own value. Say the words, not as a chant, as a genuine audit. Create genuine value. Claim what it is worth. Look honestly at your financial situation. Take the available step. Stop avoiding what needs to stop being avoided. Recognize what you actually offered today. That is the practice. It is not magical, but it is real. And real, applied consistently across the ordinary days of a real life, produces something that magic never can. It produces the actual prosperity that is built by an actual person, through actual choices made with increasing honesty over actual time. Tell me in the comments what the one thing is that you know you have been avoiding that, if you stopped avoiding it, would make the most difference to your financial life. Not the impressive answer, the honest one. Because naming it here is the first step toward the kind of honest audit that this practice makes possible. And if this message gave you something real to take into your evenings, stay close to this space, because financial prosperity is not built by words before sleep. It is built in the daily practice of returning to honesty about what you are doing, what you are claiming, and what you are still avoiding. One honest evening at a time.